Good evening, everybody. I'm just going to flick the light on so you can see me a little bit better. The one thing I can guarantee about running these sessions is that one of the nights is going to be incineratingly hot, and I think it's tonight that is happening. It was exactly the same in the last 2 years that we did this. For those who didn't join us on Tuesday, I'm Andy Calvert, one of the assistant head teachers at Oakley Grammar School. I am the assistant head teacher for Key Stage 3 and responsible for transition. As I said last time, the chat bar is open. Mrs. Varley should be there as well as myself, and this is not scripted in any way. I've got a slight running order, but I will respond to any of your questions as we go. Tonight's on the life at IGS and the pastoral systems and other school systems that we use in school. If I'm not clear on anything, please just pop something into the chat bar and I'll reiterate things as we go. So as I said last Tuesday, this takes about half an hour, and certainly people would probably rather be out in the sun enjoying themselves, and I can see by the numbers of people listening this evening that we're slightly reduced on where we were on Tuesday. So without further ado, one of my roles in school is as the safeguarding lead, and I just wanted to start with safeguarding this evening, because most importantly, keeping your children safe while they're at school is the biggest priority, but actually safeguarding extends much further than just the time that they're in school. It's actually called contextual safeguarding by the government, and basically it means that our role does expand past the school gates, and I want you to hear from me leading the safeguarding team that the support that you will receive, the young people will receive, but also the families will receive as well, will be completely unconditional and without judgment from us. And what I would say is, you're joining a big secondary school, and as I said to the young people when I met them the other day, they will grow from being obviously children, and if they leave us when they're in year 13, they'll be 18 by the time they leave us. And I think if we all reflect back on our time at high school, we recognise how much you grow from being 11 to 18, and I did say that to the young people as well, growing in sort of mind, body and spirit. I actually got some of the students out, and I mean, I'm over 6'3", and I did explain to some of the boys that by the time they leave school they'll be as tall as me, but also, if you recognise that young people trial things at secondary school as well, and particularly if it's the first teenager that you've had or will have when they get to that age, just recognise that we're experts at teenagers, and all you have to do is pick the phone up and speak to us. And if there is a safeguarding concern in any way, please make sure that you ring the heads of year or email in too, and they will make sure that one of the what are called named person team will get back to you. It may be me, it may be one of the other team who get back to you to discuss any safeguarding issues that you have. And I would say, please don't sit on them. It is important that we know from if it doesn't feel right or there's something not going right, then please do let us know with safeguarding. And the same thing with online safety as well. Again, we're experts at helping to deal with online issues. That said, we don't have an absolutely magic wand, and without the internet we wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing right now, and streaming into your living room, and we all recognize the usefulness of the internet, but social media and the internet itself, there are areas of it that are dangerous, and the way we mitigate some of those risks are to have a pretty efficient e-safety set of lessons that get delivered by the ICT team when the students come in, and then there's other things that we do to support that as well. And with regards to online safety, the iPad has a piece of software on called Securely, and actually that does allow us to filter and monitor the iPads and acts as a firewall and a filter while it's on site and off site. And I get the links through to me if anyone tries to access anything inappropriate on their school iPad, or any tries to access anything that will be deemed inappropriate as far as a website concerns. And then we just deal with those things. It's something, it's more about a discussion, and a child could just click a pop-up from, and completely innocently, really. Or it could be a little bit more complicated than that. But either way, we will deal with that in school and make sure that we let you know as well. Looking at teenagers, teenagers are tricky. As I said, my son's only 9, but I'm expecting, him to turn into a teenager. They can be quite archetypal, but also the reason why they're going through those changes that we can all remember as adults. Going back there is obviously the dopamine spike in their brain, and that is actually helping them separate from their parents as such, and it goes right back to the dawn of human time, really. And it's important that those things do that, and their risk-taking behavior comes a little bit worse because they start pulling things. But again, talk to us, work with us, let us know if there's anything that is concerning you. As I said, as secondary school teachers and pastoral staff, we're experts at teenagers, and please don't feel in any way, as some parents do when I meet them as well, that there's in some way that they're to blame for this. There is no manual for having a teenager. One thing I will assure you, after working with them for 25 years, but please, and there's a very, very good chance that if you ask us some questions, we will have dealt with it before with one of the other students that we've had through Ilkley Grammar School. And I said, there's nothing in any way. There's no judgment from school, and we support you and the whole child and the family absolutely unconditionally. Obviously, the pastoral system has got a number of facets, and most importantly is the pastoral team that support Year 7, and that's Mrs. Hesse, as I said last time, and Mrs. Varley as student support manager and head of year. And they're there to, act. They're non-teaching members of staff, so their full-time job at school is head of year for Mrs. Hesse and student support manager for Mrs. Varley, and they have their own office. We will make sure that the children know where that is, and I suppose it's a little bit like the front office at primary schools to some extent. But there's obviously an awful lot of children that may need that, and we encourage them to come and speak to us at the right time, of course, because we prefer them in lessons. So we do encourage them to come before school, at break time, at lunchtime, or after school if they can. But also recognizing that some things do happen that we need to know about, and as well as that team, there's also tutors as well. And on the 14th of July, you will get to meet, hopefully, if they're available, your son or daughter's tutor. And again, they will meet them every single day and form a relationship, hopefully, that will last for 5 years if the member of staff stays with us for the entire 5 years, or take them through from Year 7 up to Year 11, as will Mrs. Hesse as well. Mrs. Varley only does Year 7 because she's the student support manager for Year 7, and she helps me every year to induct the next round of Year 7 students that are coming through. And we do have additional support in school as well, pastorally, and one of the most important teams that we have is a team called Place to Be. And Place to Be are led by what's called a school project manager, who's called Katie Beaumont. And Place to Be are a mental health charity, actually. If you do Google them, you'll be able to see what they do. But effectively, we have a trained mental health specialist on site that's the equivalent of CAMS, which is the Child and Adolescent Mental Health Service through the NHS. And they're there with a suite of counsellors, and we do have therapeutic counselling on site. And by going through the head of year, mental health is so important in the modern world, and we recognise it absolutely, which is why we invest in Place to Be to support the whole school community. But Katie and her team are there to actually give therapeutic mental health support to the young people should they need it. The reasons why we pay for that to have it with us, and we've had them for 4 years now, or will be the 4th year by the time your son or daughter arrive with us, is to make sure that we have those mental health support specialists on site, because again we recognise that young people going through their teenage years, they have issues of pressure and stress, and they can be family issues, they can be life events, they can be low mood, and they can be all manner of things really. And us being able to refer through to Katie and her team to be able to get that resolved is really important. While the child is in main school, so between year 7 and 11, parents are informed of whether a child is seeing place to be, and Katie contacts parents and discusses with them to make sure that we're working as a partnership to resolve any mental health concerns that are there. There is a drop in as well, which is a slightly sort of lower tariff piece of work that Place to Be do, which is called Place to Talk. And again, that's for those kind of worries sometimes that pop up into people's heads. And Katie often monitors that herself. All of that works under the umbrella of the safeguarding team. So if there are any safeguarding concerns that come out of those conversations with Katie or her counsellors, then it's passed through to myself or one of the other members, a named person, and we will make sure that you do. However, what is said within the Place to Be environment is confidential on a sort of patient to counsellor level. So, I mean, that's important for the students to know that everything doesn't get discharged to myself, for example. It is actually kept between Katie and her team and the patient as such that is there. So, valuable addition to the team. Just recently, as part of the COVID recovery programme, the government also allowed us to have what's called a social prescriber on site. And that's a lady called Lucy Owens, who works for the NHS. She's a nurse and not a school nurse in the old way. But Katie actually does meet with students on site. It's actually on a Tuesday that she's with us currently, and she provides the bridge between the school and the NHS. So local doctors, local GPs can refer young people to Katie, who does a lot of signposting actually to various other things, and there's a lot of talking therapy and so on with the young people. And again, she's been an incredibly valuable addition to our team, because it's really nice to have the bridge between school and the local GP surgeries, which we have such a good relationship with. But Katie can access NHS systems and make sure that the doctors and the GPs are aware of the work that she's doing and any growing concerns that are in school. So there's a fairly substantial package there as well. Just an addition to that as well, we do have what are called Safer Schools police officers that work with us as well. But we actually pay part of their wages in alongside some other schools, and the two officers are in school one day each a week, and come in as supporters as a big secondary school. Unfortunately, some things do go wrong in those areas, and they're there ready on tap to support us and educate the young people as well. So they are badged warrant carded PCs, but they tend to work full time in schools, and are really fantastic at dealing with young people and any issues that they have, and working alongside ourselves to make sure we resolve things without people going down the criminal judicial system as such. So it can be a bit of an odd thing really to see police officers walking around school, but they are actually part of our team, and they work very, very closely with us, and it is important that that we do that, as we do also work alongside the local police officers that are in Ilkley and the Wharf Valley, and we have very good relationships with them too, and work alongside them. And it goes back to that question about contextual safeguarding and how we work together as a multi-agency to ensure that that everybody's safe, not just at school but outside school as well. I'm just going to pause there for any questions at all. If you want to pop them onto the chat, and I can just take a quick breath myself. Okay, nothing's coming up, so I shall carry on. There is something that we do try and do as well alongside the pastoral system, and that's to make sure that we have a curriculum that allows students to develop on a personal level, really. I mean, yes, we're very, very good at delivering maths and English and science and all those sorts of things, and we're also equally good at delivering the curriculum that's outside that can be called a safeguarding curriculum or citizenship or whatever. You know, it's an important part of allowing students to explore their mind and so on. So once a cycle, and if you remember, just to explain that, there's a week A and a week B, and that is a cycle, and within that cycle, one day a week, there's an assembly that will be led by Mrs. Hesse, and we do get outside agencies that come in and talk to them, but primarily that's done by Mrs. Hesse and the rest of the staff on site, and those 15-minute assemblies to try and kind of build knowledge of certain things. It can be an event that's happened or something like I would do on safeguarding, for example. So assemblies are an important way of delivering messages to young people. We've also just redone this year our relationships, health and sex education curriculum as well, and Mrs. Capstick leads on that, and you know, it's what it does is try to build positive relationships, and it's tiered. So in year 7, it's got a focus on what relationships are and how they develop, and what are good and positive relationships and what are negative relationships. It's really working around friendships, really, and it goes back to my statement on Tuesday about trying to encourage students to look for opportunities to find really positive friendships that are lifelong friendships that will last, and even people that are outside their primary school at the minute, and the RSHC program builds on that, and then builds its way through, obviously going through the school, and as the students get older, we start to talk about different types of relationships that the students will encounter, and good and bad relationships, and then also the idea of consent and so on is threaded through that to make sure that the students are aware of what that is. It's a really important part of school, and you know, it's delivered by a team of staff that are passionate about what they do to deliver that, alongside the safety curriculum as well, that's delivered by the ICT team. And then there's also woven into that citizenship, and also on a Wednesday morning we have what's called a personal best time, which is an extended tutor time, which has a program that is absolutely marvelous, actually, and that personal best program is delivered by what's called the Prexel. So each year group has a Prexel, so a progress leader. Yours is Mr. Faulkner, who you'll meet on Wednesday. Meet on Wednesday. What I'm talking about. You will meet on Thursday, the 14th of July. Mr. Faulkner prepares the PBT time, and again it builds on things, and a lot of it is about building those positive relationships, team building, exposing the students to other ideas, charity involvement. We raise a huge amount of money for charity through PBT time, because the students are so willing to be those positive citizens as they develop their way through school. So if you hear the idea of PBT, that's personal best time, delivered on a Wednesday by the tutor and also the support staff that are there. We will have, each of the tutor groups will have what's called an I leader, which is a sixth form student from year 12, current year 11. We're just finding them at the minute that want to help with us, and they're those role models that we want the young people to see as they join us, and looking up to the sixth form students. The sixth form's a jewel in our crown, really. An amazing group of young people who are such positive role models for the youngsters, and the I leaders. There'll be 2 or 3 hopefully in each tutor group there as those 16-year-olds that have been through the school who can help with, some paired reading, who can help with organisation, who can help with advising and working alongside the tutor. So the iLeader program is really important. If you do hear iLeader, that will be one of our six form students that are working with the tutor group. All of those things there are to sort of build the relationships that I hope you can see are threading through everything that we're trying to do. I'll just pause there for a second just for any other questions that come through. Okay, none this evening again. I'll keep going. One of the things that we do to support behaviour, and again, behaviour is incredibly important. And a colleague a long time ago said to me once, we expect the best and we expect to get it. But I think what we want to do really is recognise that we do expect students to be, on their very best behaviour while they're at school, and behaviour is very, very good at Ilkley Grammar School. Most students are there to learn. They allow others to learn. In a cohort of 2,000, we have students that don't go with that, but we have a system in school to support behaviour management, and it's called Class Charts. And Class Charts is an app-based system that we've had for, I think it's 5 years now. And effectively what will happen is in September, we will make sure that the students get logged on, and you as parents will be given a parental log on as well. You can just download the app onto your phone or device at home. All the staff have it as well, and what you end up getting is they're called either positives if things are very positive, or they're called negatives if things are negative. And positives are released by the staff. So if someone does some amazing work in class, I press the button on my laptop or on my iPad, it sends the message through to the young person, and it also sends a message to you as parents as well. A number of parents can have the same login, so it doesn't matter if we've got, all parents can have it effectively, so it works smoothly like that. I think what we want you to do is to reinforce the positives, and we were explaining to the young people when I met them the other day, we showed them what positives would be, and you get them for outstanding work and outstanding home learning. Some of them are called extra mile for those students that do things that are above and beyond. Extracurricular events as well are there, effort, resilience, and so on. We are reworking things slightly for September, but it will form the same sort of idea. I did say to them that in year 7 that it's 98% positive, just 2% negative, and I expect them to try and maintain that as far through Key Stage 3 as we can. And actually across the whole school, it's 96% positive and just 4% negative, which shows how many students do the right thing in school. Some of the young people I was taking down to visit them at the primary schools the other day, they had upwards of 300, 400, 500 positives. We don't hand them out just for doing normal things, okay? So just doing a piece of work, that's expected. It has to be, outstanding things. We do prepare them for leadership, so outstanding leadership, outstanding citizenship, and we do try and make sure that they go that little bit further so they can work towards that personal best. Class Charts is really important, and I think it really smooths out the opportunities. If there are any, if a child does accrue any detentions and so on, then those are published to you on Class Charts as well. And also our homework home learning goes through that as well. And so staff, when there is some homework to do, log it onto there, and it alerts the young person with what they have to do and when the deadline is. And also as parents, you have to do that as well. So we don't have a planner as such as most primary schools do. Again, I'm quite used to checking my son's 9-year-old planner to see what homework he's got, and I fully recognize the pain it can be sometimes when you're not sure and you're trying to support people to do their homework, whereas actually Class Charts allows that system to work really, really smoothly. Sorry, my laptop's gone a bit funny here, just bear with me a second. If there are any questions about Class Charts, just pop them onto there But it is a really fantastic system. I brought it in 5 years ago, and we did some work on how useful it was, and the approval rating was upwards into the 90s, which for any piece of software in a school is really, really great. To be honest, that's from the staff and the parents, so just please look out for that, and it will come through and you'll be able to see. And what our staff try to do as well is to try and tailor why they've got that, so rather than just giving them a positive, they actually tell you why they've got it, so you can sort of get involved in their students. Good afternoon. I would like to ask you, we won't be able to attend the event on the 14th of July. We're going to try and record it. And if you can't do that, we won't be able to run the evening again, but we will try and get the details that are on there to you as well. Okay. We would just be running out of time at that point, but we will try and record. And actually, a lot of the things that will be discussed on the evening, I'm already talking about here as well. The positives build up to what's called Challenge and Celebration Week, and the students are getting really excited about that. It's the last week of term, and Challenge Celebration Week for Year 7. So next year, there's the first trip that they go on for us actually is a team building trip in September, just down to Nell Bank. We walk the students down there, a team building day right in September. The second week that they're with us, we take all 11 of the tutor groups down. Look out for that letter on the first day, please. And we take them down to Nell Bank, and they have a day down there. All the bands have a day down there to have a day team building. Hopefully the weather's still good in the Indian summer in September, and we have had some wet days down there, but a lot of the time it's a really lovely day when they go down there and have a great day. And that's for everybody. Challenge and Celebration Week again is for everybody, and for Year 7 it looks like a lot of local trips for Year 7. So they're going to Lightwater Valley, they clip and climb sometimes, they do a walk the wharf, they do some work on site, they go down to Nell Bank again and do all sorts of things locally. So that's the Year 7 offer for July. And then in Year 8, they go down to London and have a trip down to London for 4 days. They do a West End show, Tower of London, London Eye, Harry Potter World, and so on. And really have a fantastic time down in London, to the capital of the country. And they stay in a lovely youth hostel and expose themselves to how busy a place London is, but also how exciting a place it is. So that the Year 8s currently are really looking forward to that. Year 9 then go to the Lake District, and the Lake District to a team called Brathay, and they do a lot of outward bound work up there. I mean, obviously at that time of year in July, the weather's fantastic. They're in the lakes, they're doing canoeing, kayaking, climbing, bivouac building, and just generally involved in the outdoors. So those 3 years in Key Stage 3, 7, 8 and 9, local trips, London, and then the Lake District, are incredibly, they're fantastic, and the students really look forward to those. And then unfortunately the challenge does come for Year 10 when they go off and do their week of work experience for the challenge there. So again, our Year 10 are looking forward to that, but in a slightly different way than the students that are going to London, the Lake District and on local trips are. But that's the way things work out for them. There is a slight adjustment of that to current Year 10, but once COVID's out of the way, which it should be next year, hopefully the school can get back in the groove of doing things as we've normally done. Just answer that question there. The recording will just be we'll make sure that it's available for you. We'll get it out to you. So again, don't worry, and if you do have any questions, please email them through to transition@ilkleygs.co.uk, and we'll make sure that we can answer anything that you've got. The extracurricular offer in school is amazing. We said to the young people when we met them, last week, I was explaining that there's sports and creative and technological clubs that are available. I encourage them all to try something new. Pretty much every school sport you can think of, we've got a hugely committed PE team that that take sports on almost every night. There's something to be done. The creative arts team, we run shows on a number of evenings throughout the year that students can get involved in. And if they're not into the actual performing, then there's the backstages and the lighting and everything else that they can get involved in. And then all the technological clubs as well, coding clubs and so on. And we also have a Duke of Edinburgh team that go out, and then later in the school years, there's also the World Challenge group that I think next year they're raising a lot of money now, and I think they're going to Vietnam on World Challenge as well, alongside the traditional ski trips and other trips that go out, the battlefields trip to Belgium and so on. So there's lots of things to get involved in. So please try and look at those new opportunities to go through. Our fields are on the A65, but we do have really good links with the Oakley Rugby Club and the tennis club as well. In fact, our students are down there as ball crew right now, catching tennis balls from tennis players, where the winner of that event will be going to Wimbledon, I believe. So it was lovely to see the students down there doing the ball boy and girl work down at the Oakley Tennis Club. So we have excellent relationships with those. And just a final few things for me is the inclusive learning team. I've emailed out some information to key students, key parents, particularly those that have EHCPs, educational healthcare plans, just about some additional support for them. And we are working with the primary schools as well for anybody else that needs to come up for additional time with us on what's called the Ambassador Programme that Mrs. Hesse and Mrs. Varley will run. I just wanted to say, that there is no way of removing completely and getting to know the school in advance of September. One of the things that we really try and work on is making sure that the first several days that we're with us are we ease them into school and we support them in everything they do. So there's nothing to worry about there. Students who have special educational needs will have something called a passport, and that passport will have explanation of how staff are to meet that child's needs. And again, that is readily available to staff via the class chart system. Okay. That's a good question about mobile phones. I'll come back to that in a second. I'll just carry on this last little bit from me. Food in school, the young people can get food at break time through B Hall. Our caterers are really great. They're internal caterers, so they work for us as such. And we don't contract it out to anybody, and the food is very good. We use parent pay like they use at most primary schools now, and rather than the students having an actual physical card, what we're going to do again, which we had to get rid of in COVID, is we take a thumbprint off them, and they just put their thumb on a little reader, and it can pick up who they are. If you're not used to the parent pay system, effectively it's an online system. You can load money onto the child's account, which is on their thumb effectively. You can monitor what they have as well, and you can limit the amount of money that they spend on a daily basis. The food at lunchtime, again, we give a really wide and varied offer of food, much bigger than a primary school would do. So there's the traditional dinners, but we do have a burger day, a pizza day. We had paninis today. We had chicken wraps today. There's pasta, pizza. And it's all will suit anyone that's got any dietary requirements. Please do let us know if it's one of those. If it's a severe dietary requirement, please email that through to Mrs. Varley, because it's useful for us to alert the catering team for obviously making sure that they know, but everything is clearly labelled, and the students are aware of if they've got some sort of allergy, and what to avoid. We are a nut-free school as far as physically possible. We certainly don't cook with nuts or nut oils or anything like that. And I encourage you all, please, we do have 1 or 2 students that are really allergic to nuts. So although we can't search everybody's bag for a Snickers bar, we try and encourage people not to bring anything that's nut-based or peanut-based into school. And most students keep to that, really. And certainly our catering team are aware of anyone that's got any nut allergies or any other allergies that require us to know. So, but please do email those through to us. It should come through absolutely on transition data from the primary schools, particularly if they've got a healthcare plan with regards to that. But it's always useful just for sort of belt and braces purposes. And again, that goes alongside any medical conditions as well, with EpiPens or that sort of thing that we need to know about. The medical cupboard is in the Key Stage 3 hub, right by the Year 7 office. And anybody that does need to have access to an inhaler or an EpiPen, then we make sure that is readily available should it needed. I'll just go back to the question there about mobile phones. Mobile phones aren't banned at Ilkley Grammar School, first of all, but they're only allowed to be used at lunchtime. That was something that we brought in some time ago now, and was done in consultation with the student council, and we recognise the importance of a mobile phone, particularly now students may be coming on buses and trains and not going to their local primary school. So they are a very, very, they're a very, very important safety device as such. So we don't ban them. They're not to be used in classrooms. They're not to be used in corridors. They're not to be used at any other time apart from lunchtimes. And again, most students keep to that for us. And if they don't keep to that, then they receive a mobile phone negative in the first instance. So what we say to them is the reason why we kind of limit their use really is to encourage them to talk to each other. It's frustrating sometimes when you see 3 or 4 children all sat next to each other and all looking at their device. We do try and encourage them, particularly the youngsters, to talk and interact normally. The Year 7 students do have their own court area, outdoor play area. And again, there's footballs and rugby balls and space down there where they can run around and, get some steam off as such at breaks and lunchtime. So we'll show them where that is. It's the court that's down by the medical centre. Okay. I've talked for a little longer than I did on Tuesday there. The next meeting is next Tuesday, and I've left that fairly open. I'll have a think about any other sort of frequently asked questions that we get. It might be a slightly shorter session, but please, if you do have any questions, start putting them down now and I'll start answering them. Or we have got the event next Tuesday. And then next Thursday, what I'm going to try and do as best I possibly can is to show the presentation that we deliver to the students on Welcome Day. And I'll explain that. I can't quite show it with a PowerPoint as such here, but to be honest, death by PowerPoint's not a great thing anyway for young people. So I will explain everything that we need to know, and I've spoke quite a lot anyway if anyone's listening, but it's particularly for those students that have missed the roadshow events down at primary schools, either because they go to a primary school we don't go to, or because they were away that day. So that's next Thursday. Next Tuesday, any other questions, really, frequently asked questions. I'll try and think of some things that I've been asked over the years to lay any fears at all, or answer any questions that you have. If you've got any questions right now, just start popping them into the chat bar. If not, it's a lovely evening. It's really warm outside. It's really warm in here, and I can't wait to get this tie off. But I hope you found that useful, and it will be available this on YouTube, and that's the beauty of this system here. As soon as I end this stream, it gets uploaded directly to the school YouTube channel for anybody else to watch it who's missed it. Okay, any questions, just drop them into the chat bar. Okay, I think everyone's wanting to disappear now, so I will end the stream there, everybody, and I will see you next Tuesday. Thanks for joining, everybody. I'll see you then. Okay, thank you. Bye.